morning, Brandcliff House. We've welcomed back many of our students, and we have been preparing for welcoming back even more of our students that will return shortly over the next few weeks. Now, many of us have watched helpless as the months and weeks have flown by, and the academic calendar has accelerated. We find ourselves halfway through the year, and while dealing with this enormous weight of all these challenges and difficult times that we have faced during this global crisis, many of us may be at that point of saying, let's write off the year. We've had it. We're calling it quits. It's been too tough. There's no end to the trauma and trials of 2020, and too much time's been lost. We're done. Nothing can be done about it. You tried during lockdown. You tried your best. It just didn't work. You did your best, and now we're done. That's understandable. For example, in 1954, Elvis Presley played his first gig in downtown Nashville, Tennessee, and after his first performance, the manager said to him, "You ain't going nowhere, son. You should just go back to driving a truck. That was terrible. You ought to just be driving a truck." And Elvis now went on to be the best-selling artist of all time, selling more than 1 billion records worldwide. So imagine what would have happened if Elvis Presley had given up after his first performance. In high school, Michael Jordan, the basketball player, was cut from his senior team and placed in a lower-ranked team because his coach thought that he didn't really have much promise. And Michael Jordan is now also one of the greatest basketball playing names of all time. Imagine if he had given up after his coach had not seen anything in him. Nelson Mandela was arrested in 1962 for conspiring to overthrow the apartheid government, and following that Rivonia trial, Nelson Mandela was sentenced to life in prison. Upon arriving at Robben Island, he was told, "This is the island, this is where you will die." Now, Mandela served 27 years behind bars as a political prisoner, and if you're in grade 8, 27 years is basically twice as long as you have been alive. Nelson Mandela, while imprisoned, Nelson Mandela was denied permission to attend his mother's funeral. He was also denied permission to attend his eldest son's funeral. And yet, Nelson Mandela remained committed to his principles and his vision throughout decades behind bars. After his release, Nelson Mandela went on to become the first democratically elected president of South Africa. He brought the apartheid regime to an end after decades of racial injustice. And we don't even want to imagine a world where Nelson Mandela did not persist and stay determined and stay committed. Now, when we face adversity and things get hard, we consider quitting, giving up, not continuing. And if we do that, we will never know how close we could have been to overcoming our challenge. We could have been this close to achieving, to overcoming that problem that we faced in our lives. And the Navy SEALs will often talk about the 40% rule. Now, the 40% rule states that when you are completely done, you're finished, you're exhausted, you're ready to give up, that you are only 40% done. There's still 60% of reserves remaining in your tank. So when you feel like giving up, the Navy SEALs principle states that you still have 60% left to go. Don't quit too soon. So instead of throwing in the towel, giving up, quitting, we can actually follow a couple of simple steps for us to persist and find our way to overcome these challenges. And the first one is to identify your goals. So what do you want to achieve? What do you want to accomplish? Figure that out first. Then figure out what motivates you. Why are you trying to achieve that goal? You need to be very clear on the reasons for that, because if you don't know why you are doing something, you won't have any motivation to continue. But if you do know why you're doing it and you have great, strong motivation, you will then have great reason to accomplish that task. The third thing we can do is plan the next steps. How are you going to accomplish your goals? What are the simple things we need to do next to achieve that? Fourth thing you can do is surround yourself by people who can assist to accomplish those goals, people who motivate you, people who are positive. Fifth thing we can do is stay disciplined, stay focused, stay committed to achieving that task. Stay the course. Don't give up. Now, as you assess that impact on your life, that the past few months have had, the chaotic few months, think about the successes, the victories, the accomplishments that may lie just around the corner for you, just waiting. And if you can stay focused on those goals, then I know that you can achieve great things, no matter the circumstances that you currently find yourself in, or the circumstances that lie ahead. So persist. It's only a couple of weeks to go before you return to school. We will all be back together, and I wish you the best over the next week. Thank you very much.